stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello and welcome to Raw Recovery, a Trudging Together podcast. My name is Dion. We are doing the 12 days of recovery. I have like 3 different names for it in my head, so I don't know. We're going to try. I forgot that this is even a podcast. I was just going to do live and all sorts of fun stuff, but I've got to do some sharing here. So let me kind of get on that and lets people know that I'm live. But happy Sunday. It is the 15th of December. My stomach is, I hope you can't hear it, but it's growling. Good morning, Jillian. It's funny, I only saw it because I'm over here sharing, but good morning. Yeah, let me do this. I think one other person was kind of waiting on me also. So hopefully they will get here shortly. But we're going to be reading step 4 today out of the 12 by 12. Before I get started, there's something that I kind of been hearing lately. And, you do not need to go to AA meetings and be abused. That is not a requirement. If you're being abused in an AA meeting or somebody is deciding to be a dick, go somewhere else. You don't need to bother with them. You really don't. There's a lot of great meetings out there, and I'm just getting tired of hearing the abuse. As a man, it just pisses me off. It does. It makes me want to hurt people, actually. But I'm also the guy that'll toss your ass out of a meeting. You can't do that. Watch me. Watch me. Watch me do it. Because I'm usually the co-host or the host. Even in an in-person meeting. Yeah. So put up those boundaries. You don't need to put up with shenanigans and bullshit. All right. We're hitting that 3-minute mark. I opened up right to it. Wow. We have a podcast coming out today. Some of you may know Lucas from meetings. Some of you may know him from the podcast that he did when he told his story. But welcome to the Daily Trudge. And it might be live. I don't know. I don't know yet. That'll be up to him. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. I'll make sure. Live now. Okay. I think I have to sometimes I have to give very specific directions on what I'm doing. So let's get to it. All right. I didn't even look to see how long this was. Oh, no. Let's see. It is 12 pages long. 10 pages long. What's 42 to 54? This is probably going to be in 2 parts. All right. Step 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Creation gave us instincts for a purpose. Without them, we wouldn't be complete human beings. If men and women didn't exert themselves to be secure in their persons, made no effort to harvest food or construct shelter, there would be no survival. If they didn't reproduce, the earth wouldn't be populated. If there were no social instincts, if men cared nothing for society of one another, there would be no society. So these desires for the sex relations, for material and emotional security, and for companionship are perfectly necessary and right and surely God-given. Absolutely they are. Yes. Okay. I was just using them incorrectly. And that's what we're doing here. We're going to say, okay, because we can turn those character defects into good things. It's the motivation, it's the instinct, it's the intention behind it, okay? Yet these instincts, so necessary for our existence, often far exceed their proper function. Powerfully, blindly, many times subtly, they drive us, dominate us, and insist upon ruling our lives. Our desires for sex, for material and emotional security, and for an important place in society often tyrannize us. When thus out of joint, man's natural desires cause him great trouble, practically all the trouble there is. No human being, however good, is exempt from these troubles. Nearly every serious emotional problem can be seen as a case of misdirected instinct. When that happens, our greatest natural assets, the instincts, have turned into physical and mental liabilities. So, what was I doing? Number one, this is what we were taught. Everybody strives for this. You watch it all over the place. I'm going through it right now. I got nothing to retire on. Nothing. I'm kind of scared at the moment. Okay. But I have to remember certain things. My real reliance is upon a higher power, not other people. But we were raised that keep up with the Joneses. Whoever dies with the most stuff wins. There's a real pressure out there to make money, and now money seems to be the god. So when we first get in the program, without our booze, if we don't get direction from another alcoholic, we're going to go one of two ways. And I don't care who you are, sex or money. You're going to think that's going to fill up the hole, some kind of prestige. Okay. I used to think that the cuter the girl I was dating, the more prestige I had. So, step 4 is our vigorous and painstaking effort to discover these liabilities in each one of us has been and are. All right. We want to find exactly how, when, and where our natural desires have warped us. We wish to look squarely at the unhappiness this has caused others and ourselves. By discovering what our emotional deformities are, we can move towards their correction. Without a willing and persistent effort to do this, there can be little sobriety or contentment for us. Without a searching and fearless moral inventory, most of us found that faith, which really works in daily living, is still out of reach. Yes. What is it? Well, it's that spiritual malady that we need to work on. But here are the key words. There are key words to step 4. Okay. Fearless and thorough. Okay. How do we do that? Well, in the third step. Remember yesterday we were talking about that third step. Now you can see why. Because if you've not given everything to your higher power, you're not going to be able to do this fearlessly and thoroughly. Because you'll still be holding on to something. And that will frustrate it. Because that's what will be on your mind. All right? What are we trying to do? We're trying to get down to causes and conditions. What is that in another sense? It just means we're becoming aware of our liabilities. That's it. That's all we're doing. See, the more emotion you put into this, the harder it's going to be. But it's hard not to put emotion into it, okay? A 4-step is not an autobiography. It is not. It is concise. It gets down to certain things. So, before tackling the inventory problem in detail, let's have a closer look at what the basic problem is. Simple examples like the following take on a world of meaning when we talk about them, when we think about them. Suppose a person places sex desires ahead of everything else. In such case, this imperious urge can destroy his chances for material and emotional security, as well as his standing in the community. Another may develop such an obsession for financial security that he wants to do nothing but hoard money. I'm going through that kind of right now, too. Good morning, Michelle. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Another may develop such an obsession for financial security that he wants to do nothing but hoard money. Going to the extreme, he can become a miser or even a recluse who denies himself both family and friends. Yeah, these instincts can drive other people away. I know I've done it. My instincts for survival, sex, for material. I've never been big on material things. I've also never had much money. So I really don't know what to do. I honestly don't really know what to do with it. My wife's much better at that than me. I can tell you that right now. All right. But I'm learning progress, right? But even then, if I'm going to spend more than $40, I'm going to talk to my wife first because she knows where it's at. You know? Anyway, nor is the quest for security always expressed in terms of money. How frequently we see frightened human being determined to depend completely upon a stronger person for guidance and protection. This weak one, failing to meet life's responsibilities with his own resources, never grows up. Disillusionment and helplessness are his lot. In time, all his protectors either flee or die, and he is once more left alone or afraid. I talked about in the beginning of the meeting. I'm going to apply the live here that there are plenty of meetings out there. Okay, and if you're not comfortable in the one that you're in, go somewhere else. Okay, it's just been brought to my attention by a few people this week how people are dominating other people. That's their survival instinct, frustrating the process. Okay, if people tell you what to do, get away, because my experience has been this. Your experience will be different, and that's what's beautiful about the program. But this domination of other people telling what to do, that means that they have not completed their step 4. They didn't, which means they did not complete their step 3, which means what? They're a 2-stepper. That's called 2-stepping in the program. Now, and these people usually try and dominate, but they've never really done any work. So we have also seen men and women who go power mad. I just said that, didn't I? So I'm not going to repeat. Who devote themselves to attempting to rule their fellows. These people often throw to the winds every chance for legitimate, scary, and a happy family life. When a human being becomes a battleground for instincts, there can be no peace. It's probably my favorite line in step 4, in the 12 by 12. Right there. Whenever a human being becomes a battleground for instincts, there can be no peace. Whew. It's a tough one, man. It's a slap across the face because I was that person that created those battlegrounds against those people. It's mostly the ones that I love. And I'm lucky to have the people that I really love back in my life. Like my wife, she never really left, but my kids, my mom. Yeah, I didn't have any friends. I couldn't name off anybody. But that is not all the danger. Every time a person imposes an instinct I'm going a little too fast because I don't know how much time I have. His instincts unreasonably upon others, unhappiness follows. If the pursuit of wealth tramples upon who happen to be in the way, then anger, jealousy, and revenge are likely to be aroused, right? You ever have somebody step on your toes in a meeting? I was just in a meeting yesterday, and they wanted radical acceptance was the topic. And I was saying we don't really need to put radical in front of it. It's just still acceptance. Okay. Besides, radical acceptance is a Buddhist thing, and it does not belong in the meeting. And people always do this, especially if they laugh. Okay. And I was gaslit on it by somebody else. Nobody else notices this stuff. I notice it. Okay. Trust those instincts. Okay. Trust your instincts on that. And just stay away from them. Just stay away from them. You know, I had an urge to correct it and speak my piece. But then I thought about it. I'm like, these people can make their own choices. They can make their own choices. So what do? I just provide, I want to give you all the answers so that you can make a good decision for yourself. That's what I do. That's it. Okay. If sex runs riot, there's a similar uproar. Demands upon other people for too much attention, protection, and love can only invite domination or revulsion in the protectors themselves. Two emotions quite as unhealthy as the demands which evoked them. When an individual's desire for prestige becomes uncontrollable, whether in the sewing circle or at the international conference table, other people suffer and often revolt. This collision of instincts can produce anything from a cold snub to a blazing revolution. In these ways, we are set in conflict not only with ourselves, but with other people who have instincts too, right? You ever been to a group conscious? Right? Actually, I would have to say, lately, all the group consciouses that I've gone to are pretty tame. But if I go to a group conscious and they're arguing, I'm gone. I mean, if it gets too heated, I've seen chairs thrown across the room. And I mean, I've seen people get to the point where they're so mad they're red. I'm like, it's not how a group conscious works. This is just ego. It's fear in motion, right? And a group of people, okay, an AA group must have progression itself. If it does not continue in progress, then the meeting will become stale. It'll become whatever the person who thinks they run it is going to be. That's exactly what will happen. And I've watched it happen hundreds of times. I've seen a club split in half so much that both clubs did not make it. Yes, I've seen it happen. It's happening in the Orchard Club right now. This division, okay? We don't need to cause division. It's attraction, not promotion. All right. Alcoholics especially should be able to see that instincts run wild in themselves as the underlying cause of their destructive drinking. We have drunk to drown feelings of fear, frustration, and depression. We have drunk to escape the guilt of passions. And then we have drunk again to make more passions possible. Look at this circle that I created. Good morning, Brian. It's good to see you. We have drunk for vain glory, that we might have more enjoy foolish dreams of pomp and power. This perverse soul sickness is not pleasant to look upon. Instincts on rampage, balk at investigation. The minute we make a serious attempt to probe them, we are liable to suffer severe reactions. Brent, I am on page 45 in the 12 by 12. We are covering step 4 today on the 12 steps of recovery. I just know you like to follow along. Also, I'm going to get some talking juice here because my voice is already. Thank you. I get to get away with stuff on this because I've been doing it for a while and because I don't charge. If I don't interrupt here and there, then so. All right. If temporarily we are on the, that was wrong too. If temperamentally we're on the depressive side, we're apt to be swamped with guilt and self-loathing. Screw guilt. I've always been that way. Self-loathing, that was me. There we go. Yep, that would be it. Still happens to me. In fact, it's my number one thing. Just the other day, I admitted my brain, page 45, my brain just, it'll tell me, Dion, you can't do this stuff. You realize this stuff's beyond you. And it's just not true. It's not true. Okay? We wallow in this messy bog, often getting a mishap and painful pleasure out of it. I'm not getting pleasure out of any of it. As we morbidly pursue this melancholy activity, we sink to such a point of despair that nothing but oblivion looks possible as a solution. Here, of course, we have lost all perspective and therefore genuine humility. For this is pride in reverse. This is not a moral inventory at all. It is a process by which the depressive has so often led to the bottle and extinction. What they're saying is that depression leads to suicide, especially in alcoholism. Okay, and people do not fake being depressed. They fake being happy. I do it often. Sometimes it's the process to get me back to a better attitude. Even this morning, because yesterday was kind of a hard day for me. I think it was a hard day for fucking everyone. We had a great meeting last night. Everybody walked away smiling. Just made my heart want to fucking burst, man. I'm going to cry. But yeah, this is pride in reverse. Okay. This is the way I say it. Okay. Alcoholics tend to think we're either the shit or a piece of shit. We don't think any other way. But when it comes down to it, God don't make shit. He doesn't know. So you're neither. I'm neither of those things. I'm not the shit or a piece of shit. I'm Dion. And that is beautiful. Right? But even this morning, I had to ask God, hey, I need a better day today. I just need a better day. You let me know what actions I need to do to ensure that I have a better day. All right. If, however, our natural disposition is inclined to self-righteousness or grandiosity, our action will just be the opposite. We'll be offended that AA suggested inventory. No doubt we shall point with pride to the good lives we thought we led before the bottle cut us down. We shall claim that our serious character defects, if we think we have any at all, have been caused chiefly by excessive drinking. This being so, we think it logically follows that sobriety, first, last, and all the time, is the only thing we need to work for. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You might even stay sober, but you're going to be miserable. You're going to be miserable. You'll be the person that pounds on the desk while saying how grateful you are. Yeah. And if you do the work, you'll see it. You'll see it. What do I have to say that? Pick your battles. Okay. They'll figure it out. It took me a while to figure it out. Right. So, but for the grace of God, go I. Right. I have to include myself in that because I am capable of all of this. You bet. We believe that our one-time good characters will be revived the moment we quit alcohol. Yeah, no. If we were to be pretty nice to people all along except for our drinking, what need is there for a moral inventory now that we are sober? Good morning, Patricia, or good afternoon for you. Right? So you're going to get it. Oh, I was never angry with anybody because you're right in the grudge list. I was just never angry with anybody. It's a hard one. Okay? And I'm not going to suggest I'm going to tell you what I do. I piss them off. I just piss them off then. What? So you didn't get angry. Oh, you mean that? That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Okay? But there's ways to do that. You poke the bear a little bit. Take it away. You know what? I kind of work with people that are willing to do the work. You said you were willing to go to any length. That right there will piss them off. Because I just poked at their ego. So, yeah, you're right. You don't need this. Take care. Oh, good. All right. But now we have a new set of rules. Okay. We can't be wasting my time. We also clutch to another wonderful excuse for an inventory. Our present anxiety and troubles we cry are caused by the behavior of other people. People really need a moral inventory. Sure they do. But let's do ours first. We firmly believe that if they'd only treat us better, we'd be all right. Therefore, we think our indignation is justified and reasonable, that our resentments are the right kind. We aren't the guilty ones. They are. At this stage of the inventory proceedings, our sponsors come to the rescue. They can do this, for they are the carriers of AA's tested experience with step 4. They comfort the melancholy one by first showing him that his case is not strange or different, that his character defects are probably not more numerous or worse than any of those else in AA. Sponsor promptly proves by talking freely and easily and without exhibitionism about his own defects, past and present. This calm yet realistic stocktaking is immensely reassuring. The sponsor probably points out that the newcomer has some assets which he can note along with his liabilities. This tends to clear away the morbidity and the encouraged balance. As soon as he begins to be more objective, the newcomer can fearlessly, rather than fearfully, look at his own defects. This is where our experience turns into gold, where our past is gold. Yeah. And what they say, you're not terminally unique. See, every alcoholic thinks that they're terminally unique. If you had the problems that I had, if you always, it's always that. Okay. And we go, yeah, I used to think the same way, but I found a few things out. Just share your own. Okay. Now I want to point something out. The sponsor promptly proves by talking freely and easily without exhibitionism. Okay. What does that mean? Well, we alcoholics are storytellers, so don't embellish. Don't embellish. Keep the sex and the violence out of it. Okay? Don't brag about what happened, because that's not gonna encourage that person. But then they go, oh, well, fuck, I never did anything that bad. Okay? And you can help them with that. Now, we don't, again, see, you settled with your past, so you don't need to get upset about it. The sponsors who feel they need no inventory are confronted with quite another problem. This is because people who are driven by pride of self unconsciously blind themselves to their liabilities. These newcomers scarcely need comforting. The problem is they need help. The problem is to help them discover a chink in their walls. Their ego is built up, through which the light of reason can shine. Yeah, that's a great point, Bren. All excuses are equal apply. What we say is an excuse is an excuse is an excuse. It is what it is. Whether it's a good one or a bad one, it doesn't matter. It's still an excuse. Okay. Some excuses are reasonable. Hey, I know I was supposed to be there at 10, but something happened. I'll be a little bit later. That's not really an excuse, is it? As much as it is communication, let's say I didn't call them and let them know at all, and I was just late. Now I'm going to have to come up with an excuse. So an excuse is from an action that I have done, right? And just a little bit ago, yeah, I will find a chink. Well, I don't get angry. And the thing is if they say that and you don't do it right away, it's not going to have any effect, because the point is, look, I pissed you off in 5 seconds. Bring up driving. I hate driving. Yeah, then see, I already got you. At some point, they'll react. We'll say, that's what we're talking about right there. My wife said something. I said something. I shouldn't have said. See? Weird. So dig a little bit. You'll find it. First off, they can be told that the majority of AA members have suffered severely from self-justification during their drinking days. For most of us, self-justification was the maker of excuses. Excuses, of course, for drinking and for all kinds of crazy and damaging conduct. We have made the invention of the alibis a fine art. We had to drink because times were hard or times were good. We had to drink because at home we were smothered with love or got none at all. We had to drink because at work we were great success or dismal failures. We had to drink because our nation had won a war or loss of peace. And so it went ad infinitum. Ad infinitum means forever. No worries, Brent. No worries. You weren't late. You got here exactly when you were supposed to. That's what's great about God's world. It's perfect the way it is. Yeah. But look at these extremes as to why we drink. Why? Because we need an excuse. Why? Because we know we're doing wrong. We know it. But for some reason, we just can't bring it forth to admit it. Can we? Oh, man. All right. So I'm going to go to page... Okay. I'm going to go to the middle of page 48 on this one, because this needs to be this will be a two-parter. But then what I'm going to do at the end of this one is I'm going to show you how I did my 4-step. All right. So we thought conditions drove us to drink. And when we tried to correct these conditions and found that we couldn't to our entire satisfaction, our drinking went out of hand and we became alcoholics. It never occurred to us that we needed to change ourselves to meet these conditions, whatever they were. Good news, bad news here, my friends. We always want the bad news first. Bad news, I'm the problem. You're the problem. Good news, I'm the problem. You're the problem. What's the prayer say? Well, you pretty much change you. See, this is about sacrifice and conforming to something. I know conformity sounds bad, huh? A little too close to brainwashing and culty, huh? That's not what we're talking about. Nobody's drinking Kool-Aid here. Okay, not the kind of Kool-Aid we're talking about anyway. Okay. It was always conditioned. So what are we getting down to? We're getting down to causes and conditions. Conditions is an area, a setup of something. We also call it a trigger. Yes, conditions are triggers. See? What happens is we go forward in life and each generation wants to talk a different way. And therefore, now the English language is just full of bullshit. So, yeah, but conditions means our triggers. What's causing us to go out and drink? Yeah. But in AA, we slowly learned that something had to be done about our vengeful resentment, self-pity, and unwarranted pride. We shall see that every time we played the big shot, we turned people against us. We had to see that when we harbored such grudges and planned revenge for such defeats, we were really beating ourselves with the club of anger we had intended to use on others. We learned that if we were seriously disturbed, our first need was to quiet that disturbance, regardless of who or what we thought caused it. To see how erratic emotions victimized us often took a long time. We could perceive them quickly in others, but only slowly in ourselves. Aha, aha, aha. We are now talking about you spot it, you got it. What does that mean? That person over there is upsetting me. Now, this is going to take a level of honesty. Okay? This is going to take a certain level of honesty. Okay? I don't know why people keep saying brutal honesty. It's nowhere in the book. I'm brutally honest. Then you're an asshole. That's what that means. Brutally honest means there's no empathy in what you're saying, actually. Okay. Now, even being brutally honest with yourself is not, listen to the word brutal. Well, what is brutal? Well, that's a type of domestic violence. No. I even used to use it, but that was the problem. I was being brutally honest. I wasn't taking into account other people and what was going on with them. That's how I take that anyway. I take it because that's what it means. All right. No, let's just go with honest. We don't need to add these. We don't need to add these adjectives in order to increase and bolster our pride. Right? I mean, we hear it all the time. My name is Dion. I'm a recovered alcoholic. No, I'm Dion. I'm an alcoholic. No, that's it. Because when you say recovered in the rooms and there's a bunch of new people, you're starting an argument. You want the center of attention to be on you. That's it. People that wear shit, dude, there's one person, she changed her name in the meeting to fit something to a cartoon, to the Grinch. I'm like, that's not your real name. Your name's not Luhu. All right, let's be who we are. All right. So the spot that you got it is that person over there is doing something that upsets me. Am I doing that too? That's how I figured out a lot of my character defects. See, it was easy for me to see them in you, but not me. So I utilized your character defects to find mine. Okay. There's a running joke. You want to know your character defects? Go ask your significant other. Don't do that. All right. It's not their program. It's yours. First of all, we admit that we had many of these defects, even though such disclosures were painful and humiliating. Sorry. Where other people were concerned, we had to drop the word blame from our speech and thought. This required great willingness, even to begin with. But once, over the first 2 or 3 high hurdles, the course ahead began to look easier. For we had started to get a perspective on ourselves, which is another way of saying that we were gaining in humility. I think there's a part back here I want to send it in. Yeah, we have to drop the words blame and shame. We cannot continue blaming people for who we are. There has to be a point in every person's life when we say, yes, my parents did that. But if you're continuing to blame your parents for who you are, you haven't grown up yet. And we need to grow up emotionally. I needed to grow up. Of course, the depressive and the power driver are personality extremes, types with which AA and the whole world abound. Often, these personalities are just as sharply defined as the examples given, but just as often, some of us will fit more or less into both classifications. Human beings are never quite alike, so each of us, when making an inventory, will need to determine what his individual character defects are. Having found the shoe that fit, he ought to step into them and walk with new confidence that he is at last on the right track. Okay, we're gonna stop there. I'll do the next one. I need to put needed something to mark it, right? So I'm gonna give an example of my 4-step. This is mine. I did not burn it. Nobody's even allowed in my office without me being in it. It's in my life. Now, I am not going to show you any part of my 4-step. There's no way is it going to be on camera for the world to fucking see. Not a chance. So, I'm going to do an example, right? What I have here is I have a column, right? Name, person, place, thing. Right? What am I doing? I'm writing my grudge list. Right? Yeah. Okay. Right there. Now imagine these are people, and I'm just going to go down and I'm going to write my grudge list. If I need to, I'm going to go to the next page. Okay. Then this is what happens. Let me kind of give the directions on how we're supposed to do it. This is how I was taught. But yeah. I would not burn your grudge list. Don't burn your grudge list. And if you're going to take a picture of it, something, get some kind of copy, unless you feel like writing your 8th step out. Okay? Don't do it. All right. So the first thing, okay, so I'm ready to work on my 4-step. First rule is this: 15 to 20 minutes every day. 15 to 20 minutes. Okay? So before I get started, I'm going to ask God for guidance and direction. Say this right in prayer. God, give me some direction here. And then get busy. Okay? You're going to write for 15, 20 minutes. Ding, ding, ding. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 4-step. I'm going to close it. God, and I say this, God, this is not mine now. I put it away. Okay? And there's going to be times when you're like, oh, I got to put that on my 4-step. Nope. No, you got to wait. Unless you're going to work on your 4-step for that day. But the thing is, if you already did your 15, 20 minutes that day, you're not allowed to work on it for the rest of the day. This will get you through this process. We'll get you through it pretty quickly. Why is it? Because there's 17 lists. That's it. Okay, I had to go that far. I have the fucking book. Okay. Now, I've finished my grudge list. And here's the important part. This is really important, and it's going to be hard as fuck. See this right here? I get to write my grudge right there. It's the only line I get. There is no more. It's not an autobiography. Okay? We're not therapists. We're not counselors. We're not. Okay? And please quit adding homework to steps 1, 2, and 3. They're not supposed to have any action. Let them go do their stuff. Absolutely. Grab your, it's always recorded. So you just get that one line, which means you're going to have to get down to a cause and condition. Okay. Now I've settled things with my mom, so I'm going to utilize her. Okay. She raised me the best that she could. I was out of control. So let's qualify that. Okay. Okay. I couldn't sit there and go, well, she did this to me. She did that to me. No, it came down to she treated me differently than the other children. That's a cause and condition. But it turned out it's because I was different than the other children. Was that on her? No. So, all right, and then I'm done. God, I'm done today. I'm going to put it away. It's yours. Now, if you don't stay consistent on it like that, you know what? I always have to yell at a sponsee. And it's funny because I always say, if you don't get busy on this, I'm going to have to fire you, man. And I let the shock hit. And then I tell them, I've never fired anyone. You're either going to do the work or you're going to go away. But I've never fired anyone, just so you know. But let's get on that. And let's stop wasting my time. That would be great, right? Yeah. So I'm putting a boundary in there. I'm putting some things in there to get them motivated. We alcoholics need direction. Okay? We need direction. So, all right. Well, I got about 40 minutes before my podcast, and I always like to take a little bit of time with God before I do that. So, I'm not sure when the second one will be. Maybe step 12 we end up doing on Christmas itself. We'll find out. I don't know. I got to fit it into 12 days. So that means I'm going to have to do another one this afternoon. That's all right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. Peace out.